Got some additional random things that I wanted to discuss, so here we are with the 7th Random Thoughts video. Once again, a significant amount of the background footage in the video has been recorded in Train Simulator Classic, but this time I was driving a Class 47 diesel locomotive from Maud to Allon on the Buchan line, but I will cut away to Train Sim World 6 or real-life footage as and when appropriate. And yes, this is the new Class 47 from Armstrong Powerhouse. There's something I didn't think to mention in the previous Random Thoughts video, that's being a lingering sense of wondering if I ever truly belong, or feel welcome, in a given space. Be that the school settings back when I was a student, a Discord server, the ultimately disastrous attempt at joining a youth group in 2021, or some other thing. I often feel like an outsider, and I say that the sense is lingering because it's been around since my days in high school. That was between 2014 and 2017, and I say to myself, in the words of the Cranberries, do you have to let it linger? In all seriousness, Dreams and Zombie are the only two songs from the Cranberries that I properly know and like, while Linger doesn't interest me all that much. As an aside, I discovered a Zombie during my travels of England in 2025, and still associated the song with memories of a small town in the northwest by the name of Dalston. In saying all of this malarkey about wondering if I feel welcome anywhere, I must clarify that I'm still grateful for the one remaining solid friendship that I still have from my days in school, especially since I've known the individual in question for over 20 years at this point. And I'm also grateful for the small number of friends that I've made in the Railfan and Train Simulator communities. If I wasn't presenting these videos as a disembodied voice, I'd be showing myself raising a glass, which would contain a preferably non-alcoholic drink, as a toast, and we'd all be celebrating by listening to songs from Dire Straits. Recently, I've been thinking about what to do with regards to Train Sim World reviews on this channel, since it's gotten to the point where I'm so fed up with Dovetail Games' business practices and other shenanigans, particularly during the TSW6 era, that I don't have much patience or interest left to keep up with the game anywhere near as much as I used to, even when big updates drop. Case in point, the recent updates for the ScotRail Express and Fife Circle routes. Incidentally, when I was driving the Class 385 today, I noticed that the AWS warnings in the cab were so quiet that I could barely hear them. How that slipped through the QC testing Dovetail apparently does is anyone's guess. My concern about the ridiculously quiet AWS is to do with the possibility of it catching people out by unexpectedly triggering a penalty brake application because the player missed the warning. Luckily, that didn't happen to me on this run. Anyway, what I was thinking for the future is to make a review of the London Overground North London line add-on, but not until the long-awaited Richmond extension is finally released, and possibly looking at Liberec to Star Parker as well, if/when I can get it at a reasonable discount, because, in my brutally honest opinion, 64 New Zealand dollars, or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency, is far too much money to pay for a single TSW add-on. As for the upcoming Thames Valley Branches add-on from Incredible Trains, I'm considering looking at that one too, since I have a bit of a little personal connection to that part of England, but no promises on whether or not I'll actually pick up the route once it's released. It depends on the price, I guess. I'm going to wait and see what Dovetail announces as the UK core route for the inevitable Train Sim World 7, Lucky 7, and if I find it particularly interesting, or if it happens to be another route on which I've travelled in real life, I'll review it. So, to summarise, I'm thinking of doing 4 more reviews in TSW, looking at the North London line, Liberec to Starapaka, Thames Valley branches, and whatever gets announced as the core route for TSW 7, Lucky 7, then leaving it at that. Before anyone asks if I'll review the long-awaited, or as I would say, long-overdue, Tadami line add-on, I simply have no idea. It likely wouldn't be at initial launch anyway, given how expensive TSW add-ons tended to be at full price. To be fair, it was good to hear that the route will apparently be released ahead of the next Dovetail Direct thing in late August, but in all honesty, that blasted route has been on the roadmap for so long at this point that I've just about lost interest in it. To an extent, the same goes for the Deutsche Bahn BR420 electric multiple unit. As an aside, another issue I noticed on this run to Glasgow, besides the AWS being way too quiet, was the NPCs being completely invisible at multiple station platforms. I first noticed the problem at Linlithgow, and then saw it again at Polmont and Falkirk High. Now that I think about it, that's 2 ways in which the NPCs in this game spoil the immersion. Anyway, more power to those who have more patience for the Tadami line and BR420 than I do. The long waits for those add-ons has reminded me of the long waits for that blasted City Rail link in Auckland, New Zealand. Now there's a project that's been dragging its feet to the point where you could argue that now they're just taking the piss. Thinking back to the City Rail link, I'm hoping to make a video about it at some point, but I will not ride on the line right around initial opening, whenever that may be, since I have a strong suspicion that the line will be stupidly busy, and I can't handle crowds well at all. That's exactly why I avoided going to the Franz 50 events in Palmerston North last year. What I'm thinking of doing is waiting till the crowds die down before going up to see good old Britomart again, as well as the rebuilt Mount Eden station, and the 2 brand new underground stations, namely Te Waihorotiu, try saying that one 5 times fast, and Karanga Ahape. Come to think of it, I don't understand why the former ended up getting its name changed to Te Waihorotiu when the original name they were going to use, Aotea, rolls off the tongue so much better. Anyway, reservations against changes of station names aside, an eventual video of mine about the City Rail link will likely amount to simple train spotting at the 4 stations, as long as I don't get accosted by hostile staffers. One more thing before moving on to the closing statements. I remember that one time last year when I was interviewed by a fellow YouTuber, and that got me thinking about possibly wanting to be an interviewer myself, even if only once. I had a few ideas for TS Classic developers I could theoretically interview, not going to name any names this time, but the admittedly silly part is that I don't have the guts to approach any of them and ask if they'd agree to an interview. And that was another round of random thoughts from some insignificant bloke in a faraway corner of the world. In the short term, I've got a few more videos that I intended to finish, namely another Trains 2019 story, plus reviews of the Deutsche Bundesbahn BR10 and yet-to-be-released Midland 010 Big Bertha in TS Classic, but I don't know what to do once that lot is done. I have a decent selection of railway books, not just those in the railway series, at my disposal, but not much else to occupy my time, especially since various things are getting in the way of my ideas of going out of town as much as I would like to. be that for trips to other places in New Zealand, such as the tiny settlement in the middle of the North Island called Puro o Taurao, or going across the ditch to Australia, more specifically either Melbourne or Adelaide. Anyway, if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you win a Midnight Oil song that, despite retaining its original title, was rewritten to be about a Great Western Force-XO asserting his dominance over a 482 tender engine. It's King of the Mountain,